The north is cold and full of whispers.
Before we dive in, check the link in the description if you want exclusive timelines, members-only videos you won't find on YouTube, all on our Patreon. Jon Snow opens his eyes. For a moment, there is only confusion. The ceiling above him is rough-hewn stone, cold, northern, familiar in a way that makes his chest ache. Then the memories hit, not like a dream fading, like an avalanche, crushing, complete, undeniable. The wall, the mutiny, Ollie's blade in his chest, darkness, resurrection, ghosts' warmth, Red Woman's chanting, Battle of the Bastards, Ramsay's arrows, Rickon falling, Daenerys, dragons overhead, fire and blood, the long night, the dead rising, the Night King's cold eyes, King's Landing burning, bells ringing, Dany's madness, the throne room, blood on his hands, her blood. Jon sits up violently, gasps. His hands fly to his chest, searching for wounds that aren't there. No scars, no marks, just the lean body of a boy barely 15 years old. He's in his chamber at Winterfell, the small room he's always had, the bastard's quarters. But he remembers dying, remembers everything after, remembers living 30 more years of war and death and impossible choices, remembers killing the woman he loved to save a world that never forgave him for it. And now he's here, before it all began. Jon stumbles from bed. His legs feel wrong, too short, too weak. His hands are smooth, no calluses from years of sword work, no burns from dragon fire, no scars from battles that haven't happened yet. He crosses to the small mirror. A boy's face stares back. 15, maybe 16. Dark curly hair, gray eyes that have seen nothing. That should have seen nothing. But Jon's eyes are old, ancient, full of ghosts. No, he whispers. No, this can't be. A knock at the door. Jon, you awake. Robb's voice, young, alive, unscarred by betrayal and red weddings and northern independence that cost him everything. Jon's throat closes. He can't speak, can't breathe. Jon, Father wants us in the yard. The king's party will arrive tomorrow. We need to look sharp. A pause. You all right in there? Tomorrow. The king arrives tomorrow, which means Bran hasn't climbed the tower yet, hasn't fallen, hasn't been pushed by Jaime Lannister for seeing things no child should see. Which means Ned is still alive, still whole, still the father Jon remembers before honor became a noose, which means none of it has happened yet. The war, the deaths, the long night, none of it. Jon opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again, forces words past the knot in his throat. I'm fine, Robb. I'll be there. Good. Don't make me come in and drag you out. Robb's footsteps fade down the corridor. Jon sinks to his knees. His whole body is shaking. He remembers everything. Every choice, every mistake, every person he failed to save. Ygritte, Pipe, Gren, Sam's fear, Tormund's loyalty, the watch turning on him. Rickon dying because Jon ran toward him instead of letting him go. Daenerys' face when she realized he would never love her the way she needed. The taste of ash in his mouth as King's Landing burned. He remembers the cold, the true cold. The Night King's eyes meeting his across the field at Hardhome. The dead rising. The army that didn't stop, didn't tire, didn't care about politics or thrones or the games men play. And he's here, before any of it, with a chance to what? Stop it? Change it? Prevent the suffering he knows is coming? Jon doesn't know how this happened. Doesn't know if it's magic or madness or some gift from gods he stopped believing in when he died the first time. But he knows one thing. He can't let it happen again. Can't watch Ned walk into the trap. Can't let Robb march south to his death. Can't stand by while the realm tears itself apart and the real enemy masses in the north. Forgotten and unstoppable. He has to do something, change something, anything. Jon stands, his legs steady, his mind clearing, the shock fading into something harder, colder, more dangerous. He's seen the future, lived it, died in it, and now he's been given a second chance. He won't waste it. That night, the Winterfell cripes. Jon descends into darkness carrying a single torch. The crypts are quiet, ancient, full of stone Stark's watching with cold eyes. He shouldn't be here. There's no reason for him to be here. But something pulls him down, a memory within the memories, something his mother, Lyanna left behind. His mother. Jon still doesn't know how to think about that. 15 years believing he was Ned's bastard, the shame his father carried. Then the truth. Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen, a secret marriage, a son born in a tower in Dorne while Robert's rebellion burned the realm. He is Aegon Targaryen, 6th of his name, true heir to the Iron Throne, and in the future he remembers that truth destroyed everything. Destroyed his relationship with Daenerys, gave her the fear that drove her to madness, made him a threat he never wanted to be. Jon reaches Lyanna's tomb. The statue is beautiful, sad. Lyanna Stark, forever young, forever lost. The sister Ned loved enough to lie for. The woman whose choice, to love Rhaegar, to run away with him, to have his child, set the world on fire. Jon kneels before the tomb. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you ever could, but I'm here, your son, and I remember everything that's going to happen if I don't stop it. The stone doesn't answer, but Jon feels something, a warmth in the air, not natural, not northern. He stands, circles the tomb, and there, in the shadow behind it, hidden in a niche carved into the wall, an egg. Jon stops breathing. It's the size of a man's head. Black. No, not black. Deep green, like a forest at midnight, with veins of darker color running through it like rivers. The surface is hard, calcified, stone-like, but it's warm, not hot, just warm, like the touch of sunlight through winter clouds. Jon reaches for it with trembling hands, lifts it from its niche. The weight is substantial, real. This isn't a dream. How long have you been here? Jon whispers. The egg doesn't answer, but Jon knows. Somehow impossibly, he knows. This is a dragon egg, left here generations ago. Maybe during the Dance of Dragons when Prince Jacaerys Velaryon came north on his dragon Vermax. Maybe earlier, maybe later. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's here, in Lyanna's tomb, kept warm by the hot springs that run beneath Winterfell, dormant for 160 years or more. Waiting? For what? For him? Jon holds the egg against his chest, closes his eyes, and remembers. Daenerys in the pyre, emerging from flames with 3 dragons. The only dragons in the world, small, fragile, but growing. Always growing until they were large enough to burn armies, large enough to burn cities. Fire and blood, the words of House Targaryen, the legacy he inherited and never wanted. But maybe this time, fire doesn't have to mean destruction. Maybe blood doesn't have to mean death. Maybe a dragon in the right hands with the right purpose could save instead of destroy. Jon opens his eyes, looks at the egg, makes a choice. Wake up, he whispers. The egg is silent, still, stone. Jon tries again, remembers what Daenerys told him once, in a quiet moment before everything fell apart. Blood magic, life for life, fire for fire. He doesn't have a pyre, doesn't have witches' words or ancient rituals. He just has himself, and the memories of a future where he failed everyone he loved. Jon draws the dagger at his belt, presses the edge to his palm, draws blood, lets it drip onto the egg's surface. I am Aegon Targaryen, he says quietly, son of Rhaegar, son of Lyanna, last dragon, or the first. I don't know anymore. But I need you. The realm needs you. So if there's anything in you that can still wake, wake now, please. The blood hits the egg, sizzles, not like water on hot stone, like something alive responding to something alive. The egg trembles. Jon's breath catches. He watches, transfixed as the surface begins to crack. Not breaking, hatching. The calcified exterior splits along veins that suddenly glow with inner heat. Red, orange, gold. The cracks widen. Steam rises. And then, a sound, high, thin. The cry of something newborn and ancient at once. The shell falls away in pieces, and curled in Jon's hands, sticky with fluid and fragile as glass, is a dragon. It's tiny, the size of a cat. Dark scales the color of smoke and shadow with edges that catch the torchlight like polished steel. Wings folded tight against its body. Eyes, pale gold like winter sun through snow, blink open and fix on Jon. The dragon chirps, opens its mouth, and breathes. Fire. Just a puff, a spark, barely enough to warm Jon's face. But fire nonetheless, Jon laughs. It bubbles out of him before he can stop it. A sound he hasn't made in years, decades, a sound of wonder and relief and impossible hope. "Hello," he whispers. The dragon chirps again, nuzzles into his palm, seeking warmth. Jon wraps his cloak around it, holds it close, and feels for the first time since waking up in this second chance like maybe, just maybe, he can actually change things. A dragon, his dragon, born from his mother's tomb, born from blood and need, and the memory of futures that must never happen. He needs a name, something that honors where they are, what they're going to do. "Aemon," Jon says softly, "for the maester at the wall, the last Targaryen who chose duty over desire, who served instead of ruled. You'll be Aemon, and together we're going to save everyone." The dragon, Aemon, makes a contented sound and closes his eyes. Jon climbs from the crypts with a dragon hidden beneath his cloak and the weight of the future on his shoulders. Everything changes now. Everything. The next day, the king's arrival. Jon stands in the courtyard with the rest of Winterfell's household as Robert Baratheon's procession rides through the gates. He's seen this before, lived it. But this time he knows what every smile hides, what every word will cost. Robert, fat, drunk, already dead in all the ways that matter, but still the king. Still the man whose rebellion built the world Jon grew up in. Cersei, beautiful, cold, already planning Ned's destruction the moment he becomes a threat to her children, her bastard children, born of incest with her twin brother. Joffrey, a boy who will become a monster. Who will order Ned's execution and start a war that kills hundreds of thousands? Jaime, the Kingslayer. Who will push Bran from a tower in a few days if Jon doesn't stop it? And Ned, watching the king approach with love and loyalty in his eyes, not knowing he's about to be asked to become hand, not knowing it's a death sentence. Jon's hand rests on the bundle beneath his cloak. Aemon is sleeping, warm, alive, a secret Jon can't reveal yet, not until the timing is right. Robert dismounts, embraces Ned. "Ned, you haven't changed at all. You've got fat," Ned says, and Robert roars with laughter. Jon watches Cersei's face, sees the flicker of disgust, the calculation. She already knows what she'll do if Ned becomes hand, already planning Jon Arryn's murder, the evidence she'll hide, the lies she'll tell. Not this time. Robert's eyes scan the assembled Starks. Land on Jon. And who's this? One of yours, Ned? My son, Jon Snow. My bastard. The word still hurts Ned to say. Jon can see it. Bastard, eh? Robert studies Jon with bleary eyes. Looks like you. Good, strong northern stock. Better than the soft southern boys my wife keeps producing. He says it loud enough for Cersei to hear. Deliberate cruelty. Robert's only weapon against a woman he can't love. Jon bows, says nothing, but his mind is already working, planning. The king's party settles in, the feast is prepared, and Jon watches. Waits, because in a few days, Bran will climb, and Jaime will push. Unless Jon stops it. That night. Jon's chamber. Jon sits on his bed with Aemon in his lap. The dragon has grown already, just slightly. Now slightly larger than when he hatched, though still small enough to hide easily. Still fragile, but growing. In a few days, Jon tells the dragon, everything happens. Bran climbs the tower, sees Cersei and Jaime together. Jaime pushes him to silence him. Bran falls. Sleeps for months, wakes broken. And that's the beginning of everything that goes wrong. Aemon chitters softly, tilts his head as if listening. I can stop it. I know exactly when it happens. Early morning, while the men are hunting, Cersei stays behind. Jaime stays with her. They go to the broken tower. Bran follows. Curious. And Jon closes his eyes. I won't let it happen. Can't. Bran is just a boy. He deserves better than what the future gave him. He opens his eyes, looks at the dragon. But stopping the fall means confronting Jaime. And if I confront Jaime, I need proof, evidence, something undeniable. Because my word against a Kingsguard's word, a bastard against a Lannister, that's not enough. Jon stands, paces, thinks. In the future he remembers Bran was the only witness. But Jaime pushed him before he could tell anyone. Tried to kill him even after, sending a cat's paw with a Valyrian steel dagger. This time, Bran won't be the only witness. Jon will be there, And more importantly, Robert will be close enough to hear if Jon makes enough noise. That's the plan. Simple. Direct. Catch them in the act. Make it impossible to deny. And do it in a way that forces Robert to see the truth before Cersei can spin it. Soon, Jon says to Aemon, we start saving the world. The dragon breathes a tiny puff of smoke, curls up to sleep. Jon doesn't sleep. He plans. 3 days later, the broken tower. Jon is in position before dawn, hidden in the shadows of the broken tower's entrance. Waiting. Aemon is tucked inside his tunic, warm against his skin. The dragon is silent, almost as if he understands the need for stealth. The castle wakes slowly. Men prepare for the hunt. Robert, loud and drunk already, shouting for his horse. Ned organizing the party with quiet efficiency. Cersei appears in the courtyard, watches the men leave. Her face is calm, composed, but Jon knows what she's thinking, knows what she'll do the moment they're gone. She turns, walks toward the broken tower, and minutes later, Jaime follows. Jon's heart pounds. This is it, the moment that started the cascade of disasters. He waits, gives them time to reach the tower's upper room, to think they're safe, to think no one knows. Then he follows. The stairs are narrow, winding. Jon climbs silently. Years of ranging beyond the wall taught him to move without sound. He reaches the upper level, hears voices. Someone could see Cersei's voice. Worried. No one comes here. It's abandoned. Jaime's voice, confident, arrogant. We're safe. Jon edges to the doorway, peers in, and there they are, Cersei and Jaime, the Queen and the Kingslayer, twin brother and sister, locked in an embrace that is anything but familial. Jon's stomach turns. He knew this was happening, remembered it. But seeing it, witnessing the incest that produced 3 false heirs to the throne, it makes rage build in his chest. Not yet. Wait for Bran, make this undeniable. Minutes pass. Jon waits, and then footsteps on the stairs below. Small, quick. A child's footsteps. Bran. The boy appears at the base of the tower, starts climbing. He's always loved to climb. Mother warned him 100 times not to. But Bran never listened. Jon positions himself, waits until Bran is halfway up, then steps out, calls softly, Bran, stop. Jon, what are you doing here? Waiting for you. Jon descends enough to meet him, and for them. He jerks his head toward the upper room. Bran's eyes widen. Who? Climb with me. Quietly. You need to see this. Bran hesitates, then follows. Because Jon is his brother. His hero. If Jon says he needs to see something, Bran trusts him. They reach the upper landing. The door to the chamber is slightly ajar. Voices drift out, and sounds no child should hear. Bran's face goes white. Is that the Queen? Jon says quietly. And Sir Jaime, watch. They peer through the gap, see Cersei and Jaime together, see the truth of what they are to each other. Bran gasps. Too loud. Jaime's head snaps up, sees them. His face goes from pleasure to shock to calculation in seconds. Get away from the window, Jon says urgently to Bran. But Jaime is already moving, striding toward them, his hand going to his sword. Climbing boy? Jaime's voice is cold. Dangerous hobby. He reaches for Bran. Jon steps between them. Touch him, and I'll scream loud enough for the whole castle to hear. Jon's voice is steady, hard, including the king. Who's what? 50 yards away in the yard? He'll hear, he'll come, and he'll find you here, with your sister, naked. Jaime freezes. You don't understand what you're... I understand exactly what I'm seeing. The Queen and her brother, the Kingslayer, committing treason, incest, producing bastards and passing them off as heirs. Jon's eyes are ice. I know everything you've done, Jaime Lannister, everything you're going to do, and I'm here to stop it. Cersei appears behind Jaime, pulling her dress around her. Her face is pale with fury. You little bastard. You think anyone will believe you? They'll believe Bran, the son of the Warden of the North, and they'll believe what Robert sees with his own eyes when I bring him here right now. Jon takes a breath and screams. Robert, your grace, the broken tower, now. His voice echoes through the courtyard, through the castle, loud enough to wake the dead. Jaime lunges. Jon dodges, grabs Bran and pulls him back. They're at the window now, the long drop yawning below. This is where Jaime pushed Bran in the other timeline, where a boy fell and the world fell with him. But Jon is here, and Jon knows what's at stake. Jaime reaches for Bran again. Jon interposes himself, takes the shove meant for his brother, and suddenly he's the one at the window's edge, the one about to fall. Time slows. Jon sees Jaime's eyes, sees the calculation, the choice. Push Jon, and maybe Bran stays silent. Let Jon live, and everything comes out. Jaime chooses. His hand shoots out, grabs Jon's tunic, and shoves. Jon falls backward. The world tilts, the window rushes past, and then Aemon erupts from Jon's tunic with a shriek. Tiny wings snap open. The dragon can't carry Jon. He's far too small, barely larger than a cat with wings. But the shock of it, the impossible sight of a dragon, makes Jaime stumble back. Jon's hand catches the windowsill. He hangs, one-handed, Bran screaming above, Aemon circling keening, and below, in the courtyard, voices, shouts, running feet, Robert's voice booming. "What in seven hells?" Jon pulls. His young body, not yet scarred by war but trained by years of sword practice, has just enough strength. He gets his other hand up, hauls himself onto the ledge, rolls inside, and comes face to face with Jaime, who is staring at the dragon circling the room. His sword half drawn, his face white with shock. What is that?" "Justice," Jon says. The door bursts open. Robert barrels through. Ned behind him. Guards, witnesses, they freeze. All of them staring at Cersei. Disheveled, guilty at Jaime, armed, cornered at Bran, terrified but alive. At Jon, breathing hard, alive, and at Aemon, the dragon, impossible, real, circling above them with wings the color of smoke and eyes like winter gold. Robert's face goes through a dozen emotions: shock, confusion, rage, wonder, and finally understanding. "Cersei," he says slowly. "Jaime," the boy said. "The broken tower. Now. Why?" His eyes narrow. "What was I supposed to see?" No one speaks. The silence is damning. Robert looks at his wife, at her brother, at how close they're standing, at the chamber with its rumpled blankets and scattered clothes. "No," Robert breathes. "No, tell me this isn't." "Your Grace," Jon says quietly. "I know this is hard to believe, but you need to hear the truth. All of it. About the Queen, about Joffrey, about who your children really are." Robert's face goes purple. "Who, my children?" he rounds on Jaime. "Explain, now, before I take your head myself." Jaime looks at Cersei, at the dragon, at the window where he just tried to murder a child to hide their secret. And he knows. It's over. All of it. "We're lovers," Cersei says, cold, defiant. "We've been lovers since we were children. And yes, Robert, your children are his. All three. Not one drop of your blood in them." The room explodes. The aftermath. The room is chaos. Robert's face is purple with rage. His hands shake. For a moment, Jon thinks the king might strike Cersei right here, right now. Consequences be damned. "Get them out of my sight!" Robert's voice is low. Deadly, worse than shouting. "Both of them, the black cells. Now, before I kill them with my bare hands." Guards move forward. Jaime doesn't resist. What would be the point? He's been caught. His sword is still half drawn, but there are a dozen men here now, armed, loyal to Robert, and a dragon circling overhead. A dragon. Everyone keeps staring at it. At Aemon, the impossible thing, the creature that shouldn't exist. Cersei draws herself up. Even now, even caught and exposed and facing execution, she tries for dignity. "Robert, you can't possibly believe." Silence. Robert's roar shakes the tower. "I just heard you confess. With my own ears. My children, my hairs, are bastards born of incest. You've cuckolded me, lied to me, made me a fool for 15 years. And you think I can't believe it?" He steps toward her. She actually flinches. "I should have listened to my instincts. Should have set you aside the moment I realized you'd never love me. But I was weak, honorable, stupid. Not anymore." The guards take Cersei's arms. She doesn't struggle, just looks at Jaime with something like regret or longing. Jon can't tell which. They're led away, down the tower, their footsteps echoing. Robert stands there, breathing hard. Then he seems to remember the others in the room. Bran, pressed against the wall, eyes wide. Ned, standing silent, his face a mask of shock and calculation. Jon, still at the window, one hand braced against the stone. And Aemon still circling, wings beating softly. Robert looks at the dragon. Really looks. Is that can't be. It is. Jon's voice is steady. A dragon, hatched 3 days ago. In the crypts. Dragons are dead, have been for 150 years. Everyone knows. Everyone is wrong. Jon holds out his hand. Aemon circles lower, lands on Jon's forearm with surprising delicacy for a creature with claws and wings. Folds his wings, regards Robert with pale gold eyes. Robert stares. How? Kept warm by the hot springs beneath Winterfell, dormant for generations, until I found it, until it hatched. Lyanna's tomb, Robert's voice is hoarse. You're Ned's bastard. Why would there be a dragon egg in Lyanna's tomb? Jon looks at Ned. His father, not by blood but by love, by sacrifice, by 15 years of lies told to keep a promise. Ned's eyes are full of pain and permission, because Ned knows that the moment has come, that Jon has a dragon, and Robert has seen it, and there's no hiding the truth anymore. Because I'm not Ned's bastard, Jon says quietly. I'm Lyanna's son. The silence is absolute. Robert blinks. What? Lyanna Stark was my mother. She died giving birth to me, in a tower in Dorne. At the end of Robert's rebellion, Ned found me there, brought me north, raised me as his bastard to keep me safe. Jon's voice doesn't waver. He's practiced this in his head 1,000 times, lived through the revelation in the future. But this time, he's choosing when and how to tell it. My father was Rhaegar Targaryen. They married in secret, loved each other. She chose to go with him, and I am their son. Aegon Targaryen, 6th of my name. Robert's face goes white, then red, then white again. No, Lyanna wouldn't. Rhaegar kidnapped her, raped her. Everyone is wrong, Jon says again. She loved him, he loved her. The war was built on a lie. I'm sorry, Robert. I know that hurts, but it's the truth. Robert looks at Ned. Ned, tell me this is a lie. Tell me this is some sick. It's true. Ned's voice is rough, broken. Everything Jon said. Lyanna made me promise to protect him, to never tell you, because you would have killed him. A Targaryen heir, the son of the man you hated most in the world. You would have done to him what was done to Rhaegar's other children. So I lied, called him my bastard, let Catelyn hate me for it, let him grow up thinking I dishonored his mother. All of it, to keep my promise to my sister. Robert staggers, sits heavily on the floor, his face is in his hands. Lyanna. Gods, Lyanna, you loved him? You chose him? Over me? She barely knew you, Robert. Ned's voice is gentle. You loved the idea of her, the image, but she was a person, with her own wants, her own heart, and her heart chose Rhaegar, the man who won a throne through strength and rage, reduced to a man grieving a woman he never really knew. And the dragon? Robert's voice is muffled. Why does Aegon have a dragon? Because I'm a Targaryen, and Targaryens bond with dragons, it's in our blood. Jon strokes Aemon's scales. The dragon chitters softly. This dragon was left here, maybe by Prince Jacaerys during the Dance of Dragons, maybe earlier. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it hatched for me, and I'm going to use it to protect the realm. Protect the realm, Robert laughs. It's a bitter, broken sound. From what? The Lannisters are finished. My reign is a joke. My heirs are bastards born of incest. What's left to protect? Jon kneels in front of Robert, looks the king in the eyes. From what's coming, from the real threat, the one no one is preparing for because they're too busy fighting each other over a throne made of swords. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the Long Night, the army of the dead, the Night King and his White Walkers marching south to destroy every living thing in Westeros. I'm talking about the war that matters, the only war that matters, and if we don't prepare for it, if we don't unite the realm instead of tearing it apart, everyone dies. Everyone. Silence. Bran, forgotten in the corner, is staring at Jon with huge eyes. Ned looks like he's been struck. Robert just stares. How do you know this? Ned asks quietly. Jon closes his eyes. Opens them, because I've seen it. lived it. I know this sounds mad, impossible. But I have knowledge, memories of things that haven't happened yet. That will happen if we don't change course. I know what's coming, and I know what we need to do to stop it. Visions. Robert's voice is flat. You're saying you have visions. I'm saying I know the future, or a future. One where Ned goes to King's Landing as Hand, investigates Jon Arryn's death, discovers the truth about Cersei and Jaime too late, gets arrested for treason, and executed by Joffrey, where the realm breaks into war, where hundreds of thousands die fighting over a throne while the real enemy marches south, where Bran falls from this tower, breaks his back, but survives crippled, where, Jon's voice breaks, where everyone I love dies because I wasn't strong enough, or smart enough, or fast enough to save them. Ned's face is stricken. Jon, I've seen it, Father, all of it, and I can't let it happen again. I won't. Jon stands. So yes, I have a dragon, and yes, I'm a Targaryen, and yes, I have knowledge that shouldn't be possible, but all of it is going to be used to save this realm. Whether the realm wants to be saved or not, Robert looks at Jon for a long moment. At the dragon on his arm, at the gray eyes so full of old pain and new determination. Lyanna's son, Robert says softly. You're really her son. I am. And the dragon, it came from her tomb. It did. Robert's hands clench, unclench. His jaw works. Jon can see the war happening inside him. The hatred of Targaryens, the love of Lyanna, the two emotions crashing against each other like waves against a cliff. Finally, Robert speaks. She always was braver than me. Jon's breath catches. Robert stands, looks at Aemon, a dragon. Lyanna's gift to her son, to the realm. He shakes his head. I wanted to hate you, should hate you. You're everything I fought against. Rhaegar's son, a Targaryen, a threat to my throne, but his voice cracks, but you're also hers. And that matters more, Robert. Ned starts. No, Ned, let me say this. Robert turns to Jon. I'm not a good king, never was. I won the throne through war, and I've ruled through inertia and wine ever since. But you have a dragon. You have Lyanna's blood and Rhaegar's. You have stark honor from Ned, and you have knowledge of things to come. If anyone can fix the mess I've made, it's you. I don't want the throne, Jon says immediately. I don't care what you want. I care what the realm needs. Robert's voice is firm, but his eyes are softer than Jon has ever seen them. But we'll deal with that later. First, we deal with Cersei, with Jaime, with the immediate crisis. Then we plan for whatever's coming from the north. Agreed? Jon nods slowly. Agreed. Robert turns to Ned. Get the maester, get Sir Barristan, get everyone we trust. We're holding a council, now, and we're going to sort this nightmare out before it gets any worse. The Great Hall. 2 hours later. The hall is cleared of everyone except those Robert trusts absolutely. Ned, Jon, Sir Barristan Selmy, Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, his face grave. Maester Luwin, Winterfell's maester, already making notes, and a handful of Robert's closest guards. Aemon sleeps in Jon's lap. Even asleep, his presence is undeniable. A dragon. Real. Breathing softly. Robert sits at the head of the table. He's had 2 cups of wine, but no more. His eyes are sharp, focused. This is Robert Baratheon as he must have been during a rebellion. A commander, a king. Let's be clear about what we know, Robert says. Cersei and Jaime Lannister have been committing incest for at least 15 years. Possibly longer. The children Cersei bore, Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen, are not mine. They're Jaime's, bastards, with no claim to the throne. Barristan's face is stone, but his voice shakes slightly. Your Grace, if this is true, and I do not doubt it after what I witnessed, then the succession is void. The realm has no heir. The realm has me, Robert snaps. I'm not dead yet, and I have brothers. Stannis. Renly the Baratheon line continues. What it doesn't continue with is Lannister filth pretending to be my blood. What will you do with them, Ned asks quietly. Cersei, Jaime, the children. Robert's jaw clenches. Cersei and Jaime have committed treason. High treason. The penalty is death. Both of them. Publicly. So the realm knows what happens to those who betray the crown. And the children? Barristan's voice is careful. They're innocents, Your Grace. They didn't choose to be born of incest. They're also proof of the incest. Living reminders. Robert's face is hard. I won't kill them, I'm not that far gone. But they can't stay here, can't be acknowledged as anything more than what they are. Lannister bastards, Jon speaks up. Send them to Casterly Rock, to Tywin. Let him deal with the shame his children brought on his house. The children live, but they're stripped of all titles, all claims. Joffrey will never be king. Myrcella will never be a princess. Tommen will never inherit anything. They'll be wards. Nothing more. Robert considers. Tywin will rage. He'll see this as an insult, a threat. Tywin will do nothing, Jon says, but this time he's more careful. Because if he raises his banners against you, the realm will know why. That his daughter cuckolded the king, that his son defiled the Kingsguard, that his grandchildren are bastards born of incest. The shame will destroy House Lannister's reputation. Tywin values his legacy above all else. He'll accept the terms. Publicly. What he does privately is another matter, but he won't move openly, not while the evidence is this clear. Ned looks at Jon with something like concern. You sound very certain. I know men like Tywin. I've seen how they think. Jon's voice is measured. He's dangerous, but he's also calculating, and right now his only rational move is to accept defeat and wait. Whether that opportunity comes or not depends on how we handle the next few years. Fine, the children go to Casterly Rock. Cersei and Jaime die, publicly, within the week. Ned, you'll witness the executions. Make sure they're clean. I won't have it said I'm cruel. Just, decisive, Ned murmurs. Damn right. Robert turns to Jon, now. The other matter, your dragon, your visions. Tell me what you know, what's coming, what we need to prepare for. This is it, the moment he's been preparing for, where he has to convince them that the impossible is real, that the long night is coming, that everything they care about is meaningless if they don't prepare. The Night King, Jon begins, leader of the White Walkers, an ancient enemy that the Watch has forgotten, that the realm has dismissed as legend. He's real, he's north of the Wall, and he's building an army of the dead, whites, corpses reanimated by his magic, unstoppable unless you burn them or use dragon glass or Valyrian steel. They don't tire, don't feel pain, don't stop coming. Barristan's eyes narrow. The White Walkers are a myth, stories to scare children. They were real once. During the Long Night, thousands of years ago, the first men and the children of the forest fought them together, built the wall to keep them out, and now they're coming back. Because winter is coming, true winter. The kind that lasts years. The kind that brings them south. How do you know this? Maester Luwin asks. Because I fought them. In the future, I remember. I was at Hardhome when they attacked. I was at the Battle of Winterfell when they nearly destroyed us. I've looked the Night King in the eyes and watched him raise the dead with a gesture. Jon's voice is steady. I know how they move, how they fight, what kills them, and I know we have maybe 5 years, possibly less, before they reach the wall in force. And if the wall falls, the realm falls with it. Silence. Heavy. Disbelieving. Assuming this is true, Ned says carefully. What do you propose we do? We prepare. We unite the realm. We stop fighting each other over thrones and power and focus on survival. Jon leans forward. We mine dragon glass. We reforge Valyrian steel weapons. We reinforce the wall. We double, triple the Night's Watch. We bring the wildlings south of the wall instead of leaving them to die and swell the Night King's army. And we make alliances. With everyone. The Iron Islands, Dorne. Everyone who can fight. Let the wildlings south of the wall. Barristan's voice is incredulous. They're raiders, savages. They've attacked the Watch for centuries. And if we leave them north, they become weapons against us. 100,000 whites is an army we can't afford to face. Jon's voice is firm. We settle them in the gift. The lands south of the wall that are supposed to support the Watch but have been abandoned for generations. We give them land, safety, and in return they fight with us when the dead come. It's pragmatic, not merciful. Pragmatic. You're asking for a lot of trust, Robert says slowly. In visions, in threats we can't see, in changes that will upset every tradition in the realm. I'm asking you to survive. All of us to survive. And that means putting aside old fears and focusing on the enemy that wants to kill every living thing in Westeros. Jon's eyes are hard. The Night King doesn't care about your throne, Robert. He doesn't care about Lannister gold or Stark honor or Targaryen blood. He just wants us all dead. And if we don't work together, we will be. Robert stares at Jon, at the dragon, At the future this boy is describing with such certainty. You're asking me to trust you, to believe in threats I can't see, all based on visions that might be madness. Yes, and if I don't, then I'll do what I can anyway, with or without your help. Because I've seen what happens if we fail, and I won't let it happen again. Jon's voice is absolute. I have knowledge. I have Targaryen blood and Stark training. I don't need your permission to try to save the realm, but I'd rather have your support, your resources, your authority. It'll be easier that way, for everyone. Robert laughs. It's a real laugh this time, almost fond. You have her fire, Lyanna's. She never backed down from anything either, even when she should have. He stands. Fine, I'll help you prepare for your ice demons, but you're going to have to prove to me they're real, somehow, before I commit the entire realm to fighting them. Deal. And Jon? Robert's voice is serious. If you're lying, if this is some trick, I don't care whose son you are, I'll kill you myself. Dragon or no dragon. Robert nods. Satisfied? Good. Now get some sleep. All of you, tomorrow we start cleaning up this mess. And after that, we start preparing for war. That night, Jon's chamber. Jon sits on his bed with Aemon curled beside him. The dragon is already noticeably larger, the size of a small dog now, growing steadily but not impossibly fast. In a year, he might be large enough to ride. In 5 years, he'll be a true weapon of war. If they have 5 years, there's a knock at the door. Jon, it's Arya. Jon opens the door. Arya slips inside, eyes wide, already fixed on Aemon. Is it true? You have a dragon? A real dragon? Can I touch him? Ask him, not me. Arya holds out her hand. Aemon sniffs, then allows her to stroke his scales. Arya's face lights up with pure joy. He's beautiful and scary, but mostly beautiful. What's his name? Like the maester at the wall? Yes. Arya sits beside Jon, strokes Aemon with careful reverence. They're saying you're not really father's bastard, that you're Aunt Lyanna's son, and that you're a Targaryen prince. Is that true too? Yes. So you're my cousin, not my brother. I'll always be your brother, Arya. Blood doesn't change that. Arya is quiet for a moment. Then, they're also saying you have visions, that you know things that haven't happened yet, that you saved Bran from falling. I did. How? How do you know things that haven't happened? Jon looks at his sister, his cousin, 9 years old, too young to understand, too smart not to ask. I can't explain it. I just know. Things that will happen if we don't change them. Bad things, terrible things. And I'm going to stop them. All of them. Like what? Jon hesitates, then decides she deserves some truth. Like wars that kill thousands. Like father being in danger if he goes south. Like you being alone and having to fight for your life. Like, Jon's voice softens, like losing people we love. I've seen it, Arya, and I can't let it happen. Arya's face is pale. You're scaring me. I don't mean to, but the world is more dangerous than anyone realizes, and we need to be ready. Jon puts his hand on her shoulder. I'm going to keep you safe. You and Bran and Rickon and Sansa and Robb. All of you. I promise. How? By changing things? By making sure father stays here where he belongs? By stopping threats before they start? And by preparing for what's coming from the north? Arya looks at Aemon. At Jon. The White Walkers? You mean the White Walkers? You know about them? Old Nan tells stories. About the Long Night, about the others, about the last hero who fought them. Arya's voice is small. She says they'll come back. When winter comes, when the world forgets them. Old Nan is right, they are coming back, and we need to be ready. Arya nods slowly. Then I'll help. However I can. I'll train. I'll fight, I'll do whatever you need. Jon pulls her into a hug. You're going to be brave and strong, Arya. I know it, but you're also going to be careful and smart. Promise me? I promise. Good. And Arya? I'm going to have Mikken forge you a sword, a thin blade, perfect for your size. You'll call it Needle. Arya pulls back, eyes shining. Really, but you have to train. Every day. With me. With whoever I find to teach you properly. Will you do that? Arya grins, fierce, wild. I won't let you down. You never could. After Arya leaves, Jon sits with Aemon and thinks about what comes next. Cersei and Jaime will die. The realm will learn the truth. Robert will remain king, but the succession crisis will dominate politics for months. Stannis will likely be named heir, which brings its own complications. But there's another threat. One more player in the game who needs to be neutralized before he can do damage. Littlefinger, Petyr Baelish, Master of Coin, Architect of Chaos. The man who betrayed Ned in the future, Jon remembers, who started wars for profit, who manipulated everyone around him in pursuit of power. But Jon needs to be careful. He can't just accuse Littlefinger with hyper-specific knowledge that would be impossible to have. He needs to build a case, find evidence, make it believable. And he knows exactly how to do it. 2 days later, the execution. The courtyard of Winterfell is packed. Every person in the castle and half the surrounding countryside have come to witness it. The execution of a queen and a kingslayer. Cersei Lannister stands on the platform, stripped of her finery, dressed in simple gray. Her golden hair is loose, her face is composed, defiant even now. Beside her, Jaime, also in gray. His face is blank, empty. He looks at Cersei once, just once. She doesn't look back. Robert reads the charges: treason, incest, conspiracy to conceal the true succession. The list is damning. "Have you any last words?" Robert asks. Cersei smiles. It's a cruel expression. "I regret nothing. I loved my brother. I bore his children. I would do it all again. The only thing I regret is that I won't see you drink yourself to death, Robert." Robert's face doesn't change. "Sir Island, do your duty." Sir Island Payne, the king's justice, steps forward. His blade is sharp, clean. "This will be quick." Cersei kneels, still defiant. "Still proud, tell my children," she starts. The blade falls. Her head rolls. The crowd gasps. Jaime is next. He kneels without being asked, looks at Cersei's body, and closes his eyes. "I loved her," he says quietly. "That's my only defense. I loved her, and I'm sorry for what we did. For the children. For the lies. For all of it. They'll live," Robert says. "More mercy than you deserve, Sir Island." The blade falls again, and Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer, the man who would have pushed a boy from a tower to hide his secret, dies beside his sister. Jon watches from the walls. Aemon is on his shoulder, watching too. The dragon chitters softly, as if he understands what this means. Justice. Swift. Necessary. 2 sources of chaos removed before they can poison the realm further. But there are more threats, and Jon knows he needs to move carefully with the next one. 3 days later, Jon's private meeting with Ned. "Father, I need your help with something delicate." Ned looks up from the letter he's writing. "What is it?" "Littlefinger. Petyr Baelish. He's dangerous, more dangerous than anyone realizes." "What do you know about him?" "In the future I saw, he betrayed you, helped Cersei arrest you when you tried to save Joffrey from the throne. He profits from chaos, owns brothels, manipulates everyone around him, and he's been embezzling from the crown for years." "That's a serious accusation, Jon. Do you have proof?" "Not yet, but I know where to look, and I need your help to find it without raising suspicion." Jon leans forward. "We need to investigate his finances quietly. Have Robert's people in King's Landing examine the books. Look for discrepancies, hidden accounts. I can't just claim perfect knowledge. That would raise too many questions. But if we investigate properly, we'll find what we need." Ned considers, "If you're right about this, if Littlefinger has been stealing from the crown, Robert will execute him." "Good. He's earned it. And more importantly, removing him now prevents him from causing problems later, from whispering in the right ears, from starting conflicts that serve his interests. I'll speak with Robert, suggest an audit of the Master of Coin's records, frame it as routine oversight after the Lannister crisis. If there's evidence to find, we'll find it." Ned's voice is serious. "This knowledge you have, these visions of the future, they're useful, but they're also changing you, making you see threats everywhere. Are you certain about this? About Littlefinger?" "I'm certain. He's a man who profits from other people's misery, who sees the realm as a game board and doesn't care how many pieces he breaks." Jon's eyes are hard. "I've seen what he does when left unchecked. We can't let that happen." Ned studies his son, his nephew, for a long moment, then nods. "All right, I trust you, but we do this carefully, with evidence, not accusations based on visions alone." Agreed. 1 week later, the road south. Robert is returning to King's Landing. But he's not taking Ned's hand. That was the request that doomed Ned in the future, Jon remembers. The trap that led to his death. This time, Ned stays in Winterfell, as Warden of the North, where he belongs. Instead, Robert is taking Jon. You have the knowledge, Robert said. You have the dragon. You have the name. People will listen to you in ways they'd never listen to me. And frankly, I need someone I can trust in King's Landing. Someone who isn't drunk half the time. So you're coming. You're going to help me fix the mess my reign has become. Jon agreed. Because staying in Winterfell means being passive, waiting. And he's done waiting. Arya begs to come. Jon refuses. Not yet, you're too young. But I'll send for you when things are more stable. I promise until then you train. Every day. With the blade I'm having made for you, Bran, unharmed and whole, watches Jon leave with wide eyes. Will you come back? Always? This is my home, my family. I'll always come back. Robb clasps Jon's arm. You're really a prince now, a Targaryen. That's incredible. I'm still your brother, nothing changes that. But I'm glad you're here. Glad you're going to help save us all. Robb grins. No pressure. Sansa is quieter, more thoughtful. Will you see Joffrey in King's Landing? No. He's at Casterly Rock with his siblings. As wards, he'll never be king, Sansa. You don't have to worry about that? Good. I never liked him anyway. She hesitates. Be careful, Jon. King's Landing is dangerous. I know. I'll be careful. Catelyn is the hardest goodbye, because she's never liked him, never wanted him, and now she knows why. Knows he's not Ned's bastard, not her husband's shame. But she also knows he's a Targaryen. Take care of the king, she says carefully. Ned values his friendship. If Robert is important to Ned, he's important to us. I will, Lady Stark, and thank you for letting Ned keep his promise. For raising me here. I know it wasn't easy. Catelyn's face softens, slightly. No, it wasn't. But Ned loved you. Loves you. That matters. Aemon flies alongside, already too large to ride comfortably on Jon's shoulder, now the size of a hunting hound. In another year, Jon will be able to ride him. In 5 years, he'll be a true war dragon, a Targaryen with a dragon, flying south to King's Landing, to save a realm that doesn't know it needs saving. The irony isn't lost on Jon. In the future, he remembers he fought against the Targaryen with dragons, killed her to save the realm. This time, he is the Targaryen with a dragon, and he's going to save the realm whether it wants him to or not. 3 weeks later, King's Landing. The Red Keep rises before them like a bloody crown against the sky. Jon has seen it before, in memories of a future that won't happen now. Seen it burn, seen it crumble, seen Daenerys turn it to ash and corpses. This time, he's going to save it. Save all of it. Aemon circles overhead. The dragon is noticeably larger now, the size of a large hunting hound with wings that span 12 feet when fully extended. Still too small to carry Jon's weight for more than a few moments, but growing. Always growing. He flies openly, and the people below stare and point and whisper, a dragon. In King's Landing, for the first time in 150 years, Robert rides beside Jon. They're terrified. Half of them think you're going to burn the city. The other half think you're the second coming of Aegon the Conqueror. And what do you think? I think you're Lyanna's son with a dragon and a purpose, and I think that's dangerous, but also necessary. Robert's voice is surprisingly clear. He's been drinking less since Winterfell. The shock of Cersei's betrayal has sobered him in more ways than one. Try not to burn anything important. They enter through the King's Gate. The streets are packed, silent. Watching, Jon keeps his face neutral, his posture straight. He's a Targaryen prince with a dragon. He needs to look the part. The Red Keep's throne room awaits, and standing there, already assembled, the small council, what's left of it. Grand Maester Pycelle, old, obsequious, someone to watch carefully. Varys, the spider, the eunuch who knows everything and serves the realm himself? Jon was never quite sure, but Varys is useful and predictable in his own way. Stannis Baratheon, Robert's younger brother, rigid, honorable to the point of brittleness, named heir to the Iron Throne after the truth about Cersei's children came out. Stannis is staring at Jon with undisguised suspicion. And several others, minor lords, functionaries, all watching the Targaryen prince with a dragon and wondering what it means for them. Robert ascends to the Iron Throne, sits. The swords shift and creak beneath him. Lords of the realm, you've heard the reports. Cersei Lannister and Jaime Lannister were executed for high treason and incest. The children they produced, Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen, were not mine. They have been sent to Casterly Rock as wards, stripped of all titles and claims to the throne. The council is silent. Even though the ravens arrived weeks ago, hearing it from Robert's mouth in the throne room makes it undeniably real. The succession passes to my brother, Stannis Baratheon, Lord of Dragonstone. He is my heir. Robert's voice is heavy, tired, but that's not the only reason I've called you here. I've called you here because of him. Robert gestures to Jon Targaryen, son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, my nephew, Prince of the Realm, and the first dragon rider in a century and a half. He's going to be my advisor, my strategist, and the man who helps me prepare this realm for threats you haven't even imagined yet. Pycelle sputters. Your Grace, surely you cannot be serious. A Targaryen is my nephew, Lyanna's son, and he has a dragon, which makes him more valuable than gold. Robert's voice is sharp. Jon has knowledge. He warned me about Cersei. He saved Lord Stark's son from what would have been a crippling fall. He's proven himself already. So yes, I'm serious. He's on this council. He has my authority. And if any of you have a problem with that, the door is right there. No one moves. Stannis speaks. His voice is flat, hard. A Targaryen with a dragon on the small council. This is unprecedented, Robert. The boy could be plotting to take your throne, to restore his family's dynasty. And you're giving him power? He doesn't want the throne, Robert says. He told me so. What he wants is to prepare the realm for something worse than dynastic disputes. And what would that be? Stannis' eyes are like chips of flint. Jon steps forward, meets Stannis' gaze. The long night is returning. The White Walkers, the others are real. They're north of the wall, building an army of the dead. In perhaps 5 years, they'll march south in force. And if we're not ready, if we're still fighting each other over power and gold, they'll destroy everything. Every kingdom, every house, every living person in Westeros. Pycelle laughs. It's a wheezing, dismissive sound. The others are legends, children's stories. There hasn't been a confirmed sighting in thousands of years. There will be. Jon's voice is cold. I know what's coming. I know what they are, what they're capable of. And I know we have very little time to prepare. Varys speaks. His voice is soft, thoughtful. And how, may I ask, does a young man of your age have such knowledge? You claim visions of the future? I claim knowledge that has proven accurate so far. I knew about Cersei and Jaime. I knew where and when they would be together. I knew about the threat to Lord Stark's son. My knowledge has saved lives already. Jon won't explain the mechanism, can't. What matters is that I'm right, and you'll see I'm right when the reports start coming in from the wall. Disappearances, attacks, wildlings fleeing south in terror. It's already beginning. Stannis' jaw clenches, assuming, purely for argument's sake, that you're telling the truth. What do you propose we do? The watch is undermanned and under-equipped. That needs to change immediately. Dragon glass, Pycelle scoffs, obsidian. That's not a weapon, it's a curiosity. It kills White Walkers. So does Valyrian steel. And fire. Those are the only 3 things that work against them. Everything else is useless. Jon's patience is wearing thin. We need to mine dragon glass. Dragonstone has deposits. We extract it, forge it into weapons, and distribute it to the Watch and to every garrison north of the Neck. Stannis nods slowly. Dragonstone is mine. If what you say proves true, I'll authorize mining operations. But I'll need evidence first. Reports from the wall. Something tangible. Agreed. I'll be traveling to the wall myself within the year. I'll bring back evidence. Jon meets Stannis' eyes, sees the calculation there. Stannis is pragmatic. He'll help if the evidence supports it. Second, Jon continues, we need to prepare for bringing the wildlings south of the wall. There are 100,000 people north of the wall. If they die beyond it, they become whites, enemy soldiers. We can't allow that. Let the wildlings south of the wall. Stannis' voice is sharp. They're raiders, enemies of the realm. You want to give them the very thing they've been trying to take for centuries? And I want to gain 100,000 potential soldiers instead of losing them to the enemy. Jon's voice is firm. We settle them in the gift, the abandoned lands south of the wall. We give them land and safety, and in return they swear to fight when the dead come. It's practical, Lord Stannis. Not merciful. Practical. Stannis considers. I'll think on it. If the threat materializes as you claim, such measures might become necessary, but not before then. Fair enough. Jon takes a breath. Third, we need to audit the crown's finances. The realm is drowning in debt. Before we can fund any preparations, we need to know exactly where we stand. And we need to make sure no one is profiting from the crown's weakness. Varys's smile is enigmatic. Are you suggesting impropriety, Prince Jon? I'm suggesting that the Master of Coin's records should be examined, carefully, to ensure every dragon is accounted for. Jon doesn't look at Littlefinger's empty seat. The man hasn't arrived from the fingers yet. It's basic governance, especially in a time of crisis. Robert nods. Varys, Pycelle work with Jon on reviewing the crown's finances. I want a full accounting within the month. The council continues for another hour. Plans are made, letters drafted. The machinery of governance slowly turning toward preparation instead of stagnation. When it's over, Stannis lingers, approaches Jon once they're alone. You're very certain of yourself, for someone so young. I'm certain of what's coming. That makes me certain of what needs to be done. And if you're wrong, if the White Walkers are just a story, then the realm is better prepared than it's ever been. The Watch is stronger. The North is armed. That's not a bad outcome even if I'm wrong. Jon meets Stannis' eyes. But I'm not wrong, and you'll see that soon enough. Stannis studies him. You're not like your father. Rhaegar was a dreamer, obsessed with prophecy and songs. You're harder, colder. I've seen things Rhaegar never did, lived through horrors he never imagined. That changes you. Jon pauses. I don't want your throne, Lord Stannis. I don't want any throne. I just want everyone to survive. Can you accept that? Stannis nods slowly. I can. But I'll be watching you. If you betray Robert, betray the realm, I'll kill you myself. Dragon or no dragon. I'd expect nothing less. Stannis leaves. And Jon is alone in the throne room with Robert. Robert descends from the Iron Throne, sits on the steps. That went better than expected. They're afraid. Of me, of the dragon, of what it all means. But fear can be useful. It makes people listen. Lyanna would have hated that approach. She always wanted people to love her, to follow her because they believed in her. Lyanna died young, before she learned that sometimes caution and respect are safer than love. Jon's voice is soft. I'll take their wariness if it saves their lives. Robert looks at him. You talk like someone who's already lived a full life. Like you're older than me. How is that possible? I watched everyone I loved die. I made terrible choices. I failed over and over. Jon sits beside Robert. That ages you more than years ever could. For what you carry, no one should bear that alone. I'm not alone. I have you. I have Ned. I have my family. And I have a purpose. Jon stands. Now we work. We have a realm to save, and not much time to do it. 6 months later, Dragonstone. The dragonglass mines are operational. Dozens of workers extract the black volcanic glass daily, shipping it to the Wall, to Winterfell, to armories across the north. Weapons are forged. Daggers, spearheads, arrowheads, an arsenal against the dead. Stannis oversees the operation personally. He's thrown himself into it with characteristic intensity. And despite his initial suspicion, he's become Jon's unlikely ally. Because Stannis recognizes competence. And Jon is very competent. Jon stands on Dragonstone's ramparts, watching the workers below. Beside him, Davos Seaworth, Stannis' most loyal man. The Onion Knight, a smuggler turned lord, honest, practical, someone Jon has come to trust. Aemon perches on the battlements. The dragon is significantly larger now, the size of a yearling calf, with wings that span 25 feet. In another year, Jon will be able to ride him properly. In 5 years, he'll be a formidable weapon. But for now, he's still growing. The men are saying you're the prince that was promised, Davos says. The prophecy, the hero reborn to fight the darkness. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who knows what's coming and refuses to let it happen. That's what heroes say. Davos smiles. But prophecy or not, you've done more in 6 months than most do in a lifetime. The realm is preparing. The Watch is being reinforced. The alliances are forming. Even Lord Stannis admits you've been effective. High praise from Stannis. The highest. Davos pauses. There's something you should know. Reports from the wall. Disappearances beyond the wall. Strange sightings. Cold that shouldn't be there this early in the season. The Lord Commander sent a raven. He's concerned. Jon's jaw tightens. It's starting. Sooner than I hoped. Then we need to move faster. We are moving fast, but it's never fast enough. Jon looks north. Always north. I need to go to the wall. See for myself. Talk to the Lord Commander. Make sure they're ready for what's coming. Lord Stannis won't like that. He'll say you're needed here. Coordinating. Lord Stannis can coordinate without me for a few weeks. The wall is more important. Jon's voice is firm. I'll fly. On Aemon. It'll be faster than riding. Davos's eyebrows rise. You think he's large enough to carry you that far? He's large enough to try, and we need to know what's happening beyond the wall. The sooner the better. Jon flies north on Aemon's back. The dragon's wings beat steadily. It's Jon's first true flight. Aemon only recently grew large enough to bear his weight for extended periods. The sensation is extraordinary. Terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. They reach the wall as the sun sets. 700 feet of ice and magic rising from the earth like a frozen wave. The greatest defensive structure ever built, and the only thing standing between the realm and the army of the dead. Jon lands at Castle Black. The Night's Watch stares. They've never seen a dragon. Most of them didn't believe dragons existed. Now they have no choice but to believe. The Lord Commander, Jeor Mormont, the Old Bear, greets Jon personally. His face is weathered, skeptical. Prince Jon, we received word you were coming. Though I'll admit, I didn't expect you to fly. Time is short, Lord Commander. I needed to get here quickly. Jon dismounts. Aemon settles beside him, wings folded. You sent reports. Disappearances. Cold. Strange sightings. Tell me everything. They walk the wall, Mormont explains. Rangers who didn't return. Wildling villages found empty. Tracks in the snow that lead nowhere. And the cold? A cold that shouldn't be there. Not this early. Not this deep. It's them, Jon says. The White Walkers. The others. They're moving. Probing. Testing your defenses. Mormont's jaw clenches. You're certain? I know what they do. How they move. This is the beginning. In a few years, they'll attack in force. And if the wall isn't ready, they'll break through. Then what do? You prepare. You reinforce. You take every ranger who knows the lands beyond the wall and you pull them back. No more ranging unless absolutely necessary. You can't afford to lose men. Not now. Jon's voice is firm. I've sent supplies. Dragonglass weapons. More recruits are coming. But you need to do something else. Something the Watch won't like. Mance Rayder. He's gathering his people to march on the wall, not because he hates you, because he's fleeing from the White Walkers. He knows they're coming. He wants his people south before it's too late. Mormont's face darkens. You're asking me to let wildlings through the wall, to betray everything the Watch stands for. I'm asking you to save 100,000 lives and prevent them from becoming 100,000 whites. Enemy soldiers who don't tire, don't feel pain, don't stop. Jon meets Mormont's eyes. That's pragmatic, Lord Commander. Not betrayal. It goes against centuries of tradition, because tradition won't save you when the dead come. Jon's voice is hard. I have the authority of the king. Robert supports this. Stannis has agreed to consider it if the threat proves real. The realm supports this. The only question is, will you? Mormont is silent for a long moment. Then, if I do this, if I treat with Mance Rayder, what guarantees do I have that the wildlings won't turn on us, that they'll fight with us instead of against us? You have my word, and my dragon. I'll be here when the dead come. I'll fight beside you, and the wildlings will see that. They'll see a Targaryen with a dragon choosing to defend the wall instead of conquer it. That means something. You're asking a great deal of trust. I'm asking you to trust what you're seeing. The disappearances, the cold, the signs. They're real, Lord Commander. And they're going to get worse. So yes, trust me. Or trust your own instincts. Either way, the answer is the same. We need the wildlings south of the wall. And we need them now. Mormont nods slowly. I'll send rangers to find Mance, to arrange a meeting, but Jon, if this goes wrong, if the wildlings betray us, the blood is on your hands. I know, and I'll carry it. Jon's voice is quiet. I've carried worse. 8 months later, beyond the wall, Jon meets Mance Rayder under a banner of peace. The king beyond the wall is a big man, strong, weathered by years in the wild. His eyes are sharp, intelligent, wary. They stand in a clearing, surrounded by wildlings on one side, Night's Watch rangers on the other, and between them, Jon, on foot, with Aemon nearby, now the size of a young bull, wings that span 40 feet, a constant reminder that Jon is not defenseless. "So you're the Targaryen prince," Mance says. "The one with the dragon. I've heard the stories. Believe them, and believe this. The White Walkers are coming. You know it. That's why you're gathering your people, why you're planning to attack the wall. Not for conquest, for survival. And if I admit that, what then? Then we make a deal. You bring your people south of the wall, we settle them in the gift, give them land, safety, food for the winter. In return, you fight with us when the dead come. You swear to defend the realms of men, like your ancestors did during the first long night. And if we refuse, then you die beyond the wall, and when you rise as whites, we'll burn you. Either way, you're not getting through the wall as enemies, but you could get through as allies, the way it should be. The Watch will never accept it. They've spent centuries keeping us out. The Watch will accept it because their Lord Commander has agreed, and because they're smart enough to know that fighting each other while the real enemy gathers is suicide." Jon's voice is steady. "This isn't about pride, Mance, or tradition, or old grudges. This is about survival. And you're smart enough to know that." Mance looks at Aemon, at the dragon resting in the snow. "A dragon, a real dragon. I never thought I'd see one. Neither did I. But here we are. And the question is, are you going to use this moment wisely, or are you going to let stubbornness kill everyone you're trying to save?" Mance laughs. It's a real laugh. Surprised. "You talk like an old man. But you're what, 16? Old enough to know what's coming. Old enough to know we can't win divided." Jon extends his hand. "So what's it going to be? Do we stand together, or do we die alone?" Mance looks at Jon's hand, at the dragon, at his people watching, waiting for his decision. Then he takes Jon's hand, shakes it. "We stand together. But Jon Targaryen, if you betray us, if this is a trick, I'll kill you myself. Dragon or not. Fair enough. The wildlings come south. 100,000 people, men, women, children. They pass through the wall at Castle Black under the watchful eyes of the Night's Watch. They're settled in the gift, given food, shelter, land to farm, and in return, they swear to fight when the dead come. It's not perfect. There are tensions, fights, distrust on both sides. But it works, because it has to. And Jon stays, at the wall, training with the Watch, teaching them how to fight whites, how to recognize White Walkers, preparing them for the war that's coming. 2 years later, the approach. Jon stands on the wall at dawn, watching the north. Beside him, Mance, Jeor Mormont, Tormund Giantsbane, who has become Jon's unlikely friend over the past 2 years. And Aemon, now fully grown, the size of a large war horse, wings that span 60 feet, not Balerion-sized. Not yet, but large enough to ride into battle, large enough to breathe fire that can melt stone. "They're coming," Mormont says quietly. Jon nods. He can see them, in the distance, moving through the snow. The army of the dead, thousands of whites, chorus reanimated by dark magic, marching in silence, their eyes glowing blue, their movements jerky but relentless, and leading them, White Walkers, tall, pale, with ice swords and cold that freezes the air around them, and at their head, the Night King himself, crown of ice on his head, spear of ice in his hand, eyes bluer than winter sky. "How many?" Tormund asks. "Enough," Jon says. "But we're ready. We have dragon glass, Valyrian steel, fire, and we have each other. The Night's Watch stands ready, 2,000 strong, triple what they were 2 years ago, reinforced by recruits from across the realm, armed with dragon glass weapons, trained. The wildlings stand ready, 50,000 warriors who've sworn to defend the wall, who've seen what's coming and chosen to fight rather than flee. And flying overhead, Aemon, Jon's dragon, fire and wings and defiance against the cold. Ready, Mormont's command echoes along the wall. The whites surge forward, climbing, clawing at the ice, an avalanche of corpses trying to overwhelm them through sheer numbers. Fire! Arrows rain down. Dragon glass tipped, they strike whites and the corpses shatter, turn to ice, disintegrate. It works, just like Jon said it would. But there are so many. They keep coming, climbing over the corpses of their fallen, getting closer. Aemon, Jon calls. The dragon dives. Fire washes over the whites in a torrent of flame. Hundreds burn. Thousands. The wall holds. But the White Walkers are still advancing, untouched by the dragon fire at this distance. Jon draws Longclaw, the Valyrian steel blade that Jorah Mormont gave him a year ago. "I'm going down, Jon." "No," Mormont starts. "I have to. The Night King needs to see that we'll fight him on the ground if necessary, that we're not afraid." Jon's eyes are hard. "And I need to prove that White Walkers can die. Show everyone it can be done." He mounts Aemon. The dragon takes flight. They descend beyond the wall, land in the snow. A group of rangers follows, men Jon has trained, armed with dragonglass and Valyrian steel, men who trust him. The whites swarm, but dragonglass and Valyrian steel cut through them like parchment. Jon fights with everything he learned in the future that never happened. He's fast, brutal, efficient. A White Walker steps forward, tall, pale, ice sword raised. Jon meets him, long claw against ice. The blades clash. The White Walker is fast, strong. But Jon knows its patterns, knows how it fights, knows its weaknesses. He feints. The White Walker commits. Jon's blade finds its chest. The creature shatters, explodes into shards of ice, and every white it raised collapses. Dead. Truly dead, the battlefield pauses. Even the dead seem surprised. Jon raises Longclaw, screams. "They can die. They're not invincible. Fight!" The men roar. Charge. The battle becomes chaos. But for the first time, the living are winning. The Night King watches. Does not move. Does not fight. Just watches. With those blue eyes that seem to see everything. Then he raises his spear, points at Jon. A challenge, or a promise. Jon meets his gaze, does not flinch. Then the Night King turns and walks away. The White Walkers follow. The remaining whites collapse as their masters retreat. The battle is over. For now, Jon returns to the wall, bloodied but alive. The men cheer. They've won. They've driven back the dead. But Jon knows this was just a test, just the Night King probing their defenses, seeing what they're capable of. The real war hasn't begun yet. 3 years later, the final battle. 5 years after Jon woke in Winterfell with memories of a terrible future, the army of the dead attacks in force. The Night King brings everything. Tens of thousands of whites, dozens of White Walkers, and ice dragons, dead dragons raised from ancient battlefields, breathing frost instead of fire. The battle rages for 3 days. The wall holds. Barely, reinforced by every kingdom in Westeros. United in a way the realm has never been before. Northmen, wildlings, knights from the south, all fighting together against the darkness. Jon fights from Aemon's back. The dragon, now truly massive, the size of a large warhorse with wings that span 70 feet, burns whites by the thousands. But he's not Balerion. Not yet. He's still young by dragon standards, still growing. On the second day, another dragon joins the battle. Drogon, smaller than Aemon, younger, but fierce. Because Daenerys came, she received Jon's letter 3 years ago, in Essos. After Drogo died, after she hatched her dragons, 3 of them with guidance from the maesters Jon sent, and she chose to come home, to meet her family, to help save the world. She fights beside Jon now, 2 Targaryens with dragons, fire against ice, blood against death. On the 3rd day, the Night King himself enters the battle. Jon faces him on the ground, Longclaw in hand, Aemon overhead, breathing fire. The Night King is faster than any White Walker. Stronger, his ice spear deflects Valyrian steel. His magic is overwhelming. Jon is wounded, bleeding. And then Daenerys is there, Drogon's fire forcing the Night King back. Jon sees his opening, lunges. Longclaw finds the Night King's chest. The blade pierces ice and magic and ancient evil. The Night King shatters, explodes into 1,000 shards of frozen light, and with him, every White Walker, every white. The entire army of the dead collapses in an instant, defeated. The long night is over. The living have won. 1 year later, Winterfell. Jon stands in the Godswood. Aemon rests beside him, fully grown now, a magnificent creature, though still not quite Balerion's legendary size. That will take decades more. But he's large enough, powerful enough, a symbol of what Targaryens can be when they choose to protect instead of conquer. Daenerys is with him. They've grown close over the past 4 years. Not lovers, not quite, but family. Partners, 2 Targaryens with dragons working to heal a broken world. Ned approaches, older, grayer, but alive, whole. Jon, Daenerys. The lords are gathering. They want to discuss the future, who rules, how the realm moves forward. Let them gather, Jon says. We'll tell them what we've decided. The Great Hall of Winterfell is packed. Every major lord. Robert is there, alive despite everything, drinking less, ruling better, trying to be the king the realm needs. Stannis, the Tyrells, the Martells, even Tywin Lannister, old and bitter but present. Robert stands. The long night is over, the dead are defeated, and now we rebuild. But the question remains, what comes next? The realm has been united by necessity. Can we stay united by choice? Jon stands. The realm doesn't need another Targaryen conquest, doesn't need dragons enforcing obedience through fear. What it needs is something new, something better. And what would that be? Stannis asks. A great council, permanent representatives from every kingdom meeting regularly to discuss the realm's needs. The king still rules. Jon nods to Robert, but with counsel, with input, with accountability. You're proposing to limit the king's power, Tywin says coldly. I'm proposing to make it sustainable, to prevent another mad king, another dynasty that rules through fear and falls through madness. Jon's voice is firm. Robert remains king. Stannis is his heir. The Baratheon line continues. But the realm has a voice, a way to check tyranny before it starts. A path forward that doesn't depend on the wisdom of one person or the strength of dragons. The hall erupts, arguing, debating. Some lords support it, others resist. But over the next weeks, compromise emerges. The Great Council will meet twice a year. Each kingdom sends representatives. The king retains most power, but major decisions, war, succession disputes, law changes, require council approval. It's not democracy. Not quite, but it's progress. A step towards something more stable, more just. And Jon and Daenerys? They remain not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as guardians, ready to defend the realm if the darkness ever returns. 5 years later, the Wall. Jon stands at the top of the wall, looking north. The lands beyond are empty now. The dead are gone. The White Walkers are defeated. The long night is over, but Jon still comes here, still watches, because he knows. There are always threats, always dangers, and someone has to stay vigilant. Daenerys joins him. She stayed in Westeros, chosen to make it home. She and Jon have remained close, family, partners, something that might become more with time. But there's no rush, no pressure, just the quiet comfort of people who fought together and survived. You're thinking again, she says, always. About what? About everyone who lived this time, who survived because we changed things. Ned, Robb, Rickon Ygritte is alive somewhere beyond the wall, free, not doomed. So many people who died in the future I prevented. Jon's voice is soft. We saved them. But sometimes I wonder if I had the right to change so much. You didn't play God. You played Savior. There's a difference. Daenerys takes his hand, and you didn't just save individuals, you saved the realm. Millions of people are alive because you refused to let the future repeat itself. I know, but it doesn't feel like victory. It feels like relief, like I'm finally allowed to rest. Then rest. The war is over. The realm is healing. You've earned it. Jon looks at her. At the woman who became his family, his anchor, his partner in saving the world. What do we do now, when there's no war to fight, no world to save? We live, we find out who we are when we're not fighting for survival. We build something. Together. Daenerys smiles. We have dragons, we have each other, we have time. Let's use it. Jon smiles back. For the first time in years, in lifetimes, the weight on his shoulders feels lighter. All right, let's live. They descend from the wall, together, 2 Targaryens with dragons, 2 survivors of futures that never happened, 2 people who chose to save the world instead of conquer it. Behind them, Aemon and Drogon soar, free, powerful, alive. The long night is over. The realm is safe. And Jon Snow, Jon Targaryen, the boy who woke with memories of a terrible future, and a dragon from his mother's tomb has finally found peace, and it was defeated, not with conquest, not with cruelty, but with knowledge, with family, with the stubborn refusal to let suffering repeat itself. And that, Jon knows, is the only victory that matters. Let us know what you'd like to see next. The end.